Bonjour, I'm Rania.
I'm Titi. It's time to spill the tea.
Welcome to the first ever episode of Confessions of Two College Students.
FOMO, relationship, friendship, and all the journey to adulthood. We got all the gossip.
But before we get into it, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram at ALRA Studios and Twitter at ALRA Studios.
Yep, that's right. And our podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. And make sure to give us a 5 star.
All right, now take a seat with us, join our table, and hear our confessions to all this with a cup of coffee.
We just got back from class, so let's catch up. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
everyone. So, in this podcast, we're going to talk to you about all the juicy details regarding everything connected to our lives as college students.
Before we start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Tiara, but you can call me Titi.
And I'm Rania. So, let's get right into it. New college, new city, new country, new environment, new everything. I feel like one of the most important thing that we look forward to in our life is getting into college, especially as teenagers. And I
Yeah.
guess university life is undeniably exciting, but it can also be overwhelming, right? Particularly for people who just got into university, struggling to get used to being on their own and in a completely new environment. Luckily, there are some things new college students can do to adjust and acclimate.
Yes, I agree. I personally struggle for the first couple of weeks in university. So, a little backstory: I recently got accepted in University of Greenwich in London,
Woohoo!
and I am currently living in London now. Woohoo! And it's just since high school, I always wanted to come or move to London, and now that it's finally happening, I'm just really content. But yeah, there's also a little bit of culture shock, because it's very different obviously from here, London and Indonesia.
hmm I mean, of course, like adapting to a new environment, it sure takes time and effort, right? And I feel like every individual experience shapes how like someone adapts in a new environment and overcomes the stress related to that adjusting period. And
Yeah.
well, a little backstory from me. I guess right now I am studying in Bandung Institute of Technology, and I recently moved to
Woohoo!
and I recently moved to Bandung for a couple of months now. I guess you could say it's definitely an experience moving to a new city, but of course I feel like it's quite different from yours, Steve, because you moved to another country, but I moved to
Yeah,
another
another
city.
new
Yeah,
country.
yeah, and I moved to a city that is quite similar to where we came from, which
Yeah.
is Jakarta. And I guess based on my experience, I went through a couple of stages when adjusting to like my new life alone in a new city. Well, I guess we could just like tell a little bit about each stages of our adjusting period. And for me personally, first I went through this euphoria stage, I guess you could say. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so first I was like really, really, really happy moving to a new city because I get to live alone, like without my parents, even though I miss them
Yeah.
a lot, of course. But I was definitely excited to live alone because that represents childhood, right? And other
Yeah,
than
that's
that, I get to live with a couple of friends, which is really exciting. And I got to meet new friends, like my other friends that is from Bandung and from other cities, of course, for the
yeah.
first time because I started when the pandemic hit, so I never really saw like a lot of my friends offline. Like I saw them online, and it's definitely quite
Mm-hmm.
different. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like really just a really happy experience for me. And
Yeah.
and during this like euphoria stage, I had really high expectations for the future.
Okay, but for me, yeah, it's kind of similar to you. Like when I first got here in London, I was really happy and excited because obviously I'm an international student, right? So we have this class for a year one, we have this class for all the international students, so without the local.
hmm
So all of my friends is kind of from like literally everyone, no, everyone around the world. So like American and then
Yeah, that is
Italian,
so cool though. Like
Spanish.
different cultures from all over the world, and you get to like meet new
Like,
people.
Yeah, it's crazy and it's like I said, it's very exciting.
Hmm.
But then I went to the next phase, I guess, which is like a little bit of disappointment or culture shock.
Mm.
Because, yeah, because obviously it's very different from Indonesia. Like, even the little things like coins. In London, we use a lot of coins, but in Indo, we use like paper money, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and then it's a little bit weird. Like you have to carry coins, and then the transportation. Like we have to use the DLR buses because we don't want to use taxi all the time here. It's very, very expensive. It could be like 1 million rupiah in Indo for just
Wow,
like
really?
2 kilometers. Yeah, it's a bit crazy. And nope, we don't want that. We're a college student here.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I first come here, I was very alone, but like by alone I mean like no close friends, zero family to accompany me and tell me all about how to survive in London. But luckily I had my old friend from here that been living in Indo for like a couple of years, and he taught me how and where to buy things that I needed, and then just sort of things that I need to buy in here. So
Mhm.
yeah, shout out to him because that's really helpful, since you have no one here. And then like, yeah, he helped me. So yeah, what
That
about
is
you,
so
Ron? Did you?
nice of him, though. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I
It's
mean,
really nice.
of course, you would be kind of like afraid of going to a new country, like even though you're like probably so excited and happy, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there's that feeling of being afraid of being alone. And
Yeah,
yeah,
afraid. I was
yeah,
literally
that's really.
crying. And the thing is, I was literally crying every like 2 hours because
Oh
I miss my.
no. Uh,
I was like, yeah, I was like the first 2 weeks, I was like, oh no. And then I just like call my mom, and then we just end up in like group chat, video call.
oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what about you, Fran? Did you experience any culture shock or disappointment, even though uh you only like, I mean, like not only, but you did move to
Yeah,
another
yeah, yeah,
city?
yeah. I mean, like a city that's actually quite similar to where we came from. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
also different, but yeah, definitely. I kind of experienced a little bit of culture shock, and maybe it's more of like homesickness and the feeling of
Yeah,
being alone.
homesickness. Imagine
Yeah,
that. Like,
especially you, right? I mean, it's a hundred
yeah,
percent
imagine.
different.
I mean, like you even said homesick, even though you're like 3 hours from home, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
me, I'm like 20 hours
20
on
hours
a
away.
flight.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And then what happened?
Yeah, so um I mean, I feel like it's not as bad, but yeah, what helped me a lot during this stage is actually because I had friends. So I moved to like I guess you could say apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved with three of my friends, even though we have our
Yeah.
own rooms, but like it definitely made me feel more comfortable, and I'm not as scared because um actually I'm that kind of person who's like more scared of people than like things like
Yeah.
ghosts and things like that. I mean, like what if there's like some creeps or psychos out there and I'm just
Yeah,
living
of
in a new
course.
place?
That's
And
scary.
yeah, so I didn't feel like uh
Safe.
too scared, I guess you could say. Like I'm not like
Oh, yeah.
terrified because I had friends here.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but even the like because I had friends, I even slept. Like this is kind of a fun fact, I guess. I even slept in one of my friends' room on the first night because I guess we were both scared. I don't know what we were scared of,
Because
but yeah,
yeah,
because
because
new
you're
place,
not
right?
used to it, right?
Yeah, so we slept together in like one room, like just so we can get used to like the new place.
Environment. Yeah.
Yeah, but even though I had like a little bit of culture shock and disappointment. Maybe the disappointment is more of because I had like really, really high expectations. So it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, oh, it turns out that it's not like always 100% happy. I mean, of course, I didn't like expect it to be 100% happy, but maybe the disappointment came from things like small things like uh, I have to be like alone like every night, and
Yes,
then I have to think about maybe
not
things
be
that I
able
didn't,
to.
yeah, things that I didn't think about before, like vehicles.
Yeah,
I mean, for the first couple of weeks, I didn't have any vehicles like a car, a motorcycle. I didn't have anything, so
yeah,
I went everywhere through maybe Gojek or
yeah,
Grab and things like that, like online car services.
yeah.
And I had to think about like the money, like I keep on uh
Yes,
yeah,
especially we're a college student, like
yeah, like
mm,
we don't have money.
tight. Money is a bit tight, honey.
Yeah, that is so true. Like I have to just, you know, we need money like everywhere we go for like food, for transportation, for like just
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So maybe that's kind of the disappointment that I felt, but then I started getting used to it. Like, of course, I started getting used to everything, and I accepted that this is my daily life right now. And then I went through this acceptance stage where I learn from the new situation that I'm in. So
Yeah,
I
same though,
really,
because like
yeah,
um when I first got here, obviously it's a bit overwhelming, and then now I kind of like get used to it. The fact that I need to walk for like 20 minutes to university, because like in Indo, I mean in Jakarta, we don't really walk. And
that is
then
true.
yeah, and then now that I'm here, I kind of like walk everywhere, and then buses, and then trains, DLR.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
bit like, yeah, it's a bit weird, the difference,
Mhm.
because like we don't really need to use like maps in Indo,
Yeah,
and
because
then
we know we know
yeah,
like where everywhere is.
no, not really, because in Indo we have like Gojek and
Oh
taxi or
yeah,
whatever, like they know that we want to go there, and they're just like they're doing their thing, and we don't even have to look uh where we at right now, right? But in here,
yeah.
like every minute when you go out, it's just me and my Google Maps. But now I
Thank
kind of
God for
like it.
Google Maps, right?
Yes, shout out to Google Maps. But now it's just, yeah, I kind of like get used to it. So like I do know, like now obviously I've been here for a month, and I don't know, today 25 days. So
Hmm.
now I kind of like, I know where I'm going. I know that I shouldn't take this bus. I shouldn't take this trains
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
I do I do get lost, and it's just a little bit confusing. Obviously, this is not my country, so it's a little bit scary
yeah,
and
yeah.
like that, yeah. And then everyone is just like, I mean, everyone here is they're just they're just don't care about people. They're just very
Hmm.
different. Like in Indo, if you got lost, you can just like ask someone, and they'll be like, they're really helpful. But in here, they're just like they don't even like look you in the eye. Like if you're, like it's
Yeah, they
just
have their
yeah,
own lives and things like that, right?
yeah, they don't care. Like mind your own business.
Yeah,
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 that's the thing. So yeah, we have to be careful. We have to like watch out everything. That's the thing. I think yeah, that's one of the different here in Indo.
yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, it's I kind of like I went to a acceptance phase too, of course,
Hmm.
and kind of get used to it. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, of course, we develop an understanding of like the rules and norms in both of
yeah,
our environment. I mean, in London and in Bandung, and I guess for me personally, I'm no longer afraid to explore new places alone because
yeah,
at first, of course, I'm like really cautious. Like, what if maybe locals know that you're not supposed to go through like maybe this route during this kind of hours because maybe there's a lot of like weird people or weird things
yeah,
that could
yeah,
happen, and I don't know those stuff. So, um, yeah, but through this acceptance stage, I try to like know more. I try to make myself like braver. to
Yeah.
go to like new places, especially alone, because
Mhm.
even back home, I just rarely go places alone, because my
Yeah.
mom's usually scared that something would happen and things like that. I mean, of course, like, usual parent stuff.
Yeah. Parent stuff.
Yeah, and here I could really understand what it felt like to be alone. And I mean, when I say alone, it's like positively like alone, but not lonely. Like I get
Yeah. Yeah.
experience it by myself, which is really fun. It turns out because I never really go out alone, and turns out it's really fun. And yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm more social with other people and more open, and yeah, many more, I guess. So, maybe like some tips. What about you? Like, do you have some tips about being in a
Some
new
tips
country or environment?
like, because in London people can be very brutally honest, so they can be very vocal like about what they want. So you need to be able to say no if you think that's not true or that's not
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if you don't say no, if you say maybe, or if you just like, uh, they take that as a yes. So if you think that's not right, you
Hmm.
should be able to say no and walk off. That's
Oh,
that's
okay, okay, that's so cool. Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
And
it's kind of like something that everybody knows about Indonesia is that people are usually very like humble. I mean, not that I'm saying people from other country are not humble, but in Indonesia, people are usually like they have this kind of feeling of in Indonesia you call it gak enakan.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they usually feel very how do you say it? Like they don't
Uh,
they don't want to
they don't
be a
to like
burden
bother
to you.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they
yeah. They
don't
don't.
like if someone is like asking if do you want food, do you want drink or anything like that, they usually just say no, no, it's okay, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Because
uh
they're like nggak enakan, right?
yeah, and usually my mom, because my mom used to study abroad as well, she
Yeah,
usually like tells me stories about how when she's in the US, like people, if you say no, like if you say you don't want it, then people usually just like, yeah, okay, like she doesn't want that. But
yeah.
in Indonesia,
No, that's true. That's
yeah.
true. Because like I went to lunch with one of my flatmates, and then she's like, "Oh, do you want to try this?" And then obviously I don't want to, but I don't want to like be rude, so I
Mhm.
was like, okay, yeah, maybe." And then they're just like, oh, "Okay, try it." And then when I'm like, "Do you want this?" And they're like, No, no, I'm full," or "No, no, I don't really fancy that." And then I'm like, "No, no, no, try it," because usually in Indo, if you say no, that means like a little bit yes, and
Yeah,
then
because people
and then
usually, if you say no, they will be like, no, you know you have to eat it. No, it's okay, you have to
yeah,
eat it,
yeah,
and things like that.
yeah, and then she's just like, "No," and then I'm like, "Oh, okay." Okay. But yeah, it's different though. So like, if you say no, that means no in London, but in Indo, if you say no, sometimes that means yes, sometimes that means no.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
never
yeah.
know. Yeah. But yeah, you have to be like, I feel like in London, you have to be brutally honest about what you're feeling, how
Hmm.
you felt about. If you're not comfortable with something, then say it rather than being like nice to them, and then it's just like gonna go to the wrong way. So
Hmm.
if you
Yeah, yeah.
don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel that's not right, just say no and walk off.
Okay, that's a really good tip though. Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe from me, I feel like if you are going to study, I mean, not study, like go or yeah, just go to a new place, new environment, new city or country. I feel like it's very important for you to research first, like
Yeah.
because I mean, especially if you have no one there, like if you're like really, really alone, because if you don't, then you might not know things that
Yeah,
it's
you
supposed to
might
be
get a
like
little
public
lost,
knowledge.
but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. So research is one of the most important thing before you move, because when I'm when I here, obviously I don't know how to take the train, how to take the DLR, because you have to look for the certain, what is it, platform, and then what's the name of the train, what's the
Mm-hmm.
time, what's the, yeah, it's because it's just, yeah, it's just so very confusing. And then my friend even said that, did you not do your research before you come here? Because
Mm.
usually a lot of people do that before they went
Before
to,
coming, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because that's a little bit difficult. So I've been struggling to go out with the trains and
Oh no.
buses for the, yeah, for the like first couple of weeks. It's just, but now I kind of like, oh, okay, I know where I'm going. I know that I need to take this buses and, and all that.
Yeah, that's
And
really
then
good
don't
though.
be afraid. Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask someone if you don't know.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the
Yeah.
second tip from us is like ask, 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 because like even if you research about it, you probably won't know the things that maybe only local people know about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but like if you ask, you could like even know things that you like didn't even know to ask about. Like I mean, there are some things that you don't even know that you should find out about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And maybe by asking, you could also like gain friends and gain like new connections, like
Yeah,
collaborations
yeah,
and
that's
things like
also
that.
true. Yeah.
Especially
Because,
if you like if you have few like friends or people that accompany you and like your new environment, it's extremely important to have friends, because through friends you can of course like gain more knowledge and also like gain comfort and just
yeah.
be more comfortable in your new environment and feel like you're
Yeah,
not
and the thing
alone,
is,
things like that.
the thing here, people here is very open-minded, and they can just like walk to someone and be like, "Hey, do you want to be friends?" And then they're just like start hanging out and everything. That's the
Hmm.
difference from here in Indo. Because in Indo, usually, if we go out to someone and we're just like approach them, we're like, "Hey," they're a bit like, yeah, like like it's so different. But here, people is just very open-minded.
That's good.
And another tips for me, I think, uh, while you're in another city or another country, don't be afraid to explore.
Yeah, that is so true. Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, you do still need to be cautious, of course. And yeah, don't be afraid to explore, because like obviously we're not here for a very long time. It's just like, 3 years or maybe 1 year, maybe 3 months. But yeah,
Yeah, like
don't.
while you have the opportunity to find out more about like the new cultures, the new places, I feel like you
Yeah,
should do that. And of course, I understand why you put like don't be afraid, because sometimes, especially in a new place, you get kind of like scared to go out, especially
yeah.
alone, like we said before. And
Mhm.
yeah, by like exploring new places, you get to like experience things that you wouldn't have experienced if you didn't try to explore. I mean, it's of course it's supposed to be like very exciting.
Yeah, because by by don't be afraid, I mean like not everyone have this opportunity to do this,
Yeah,
not everyone have this, what do you call it? Yeah, it's just
like
like,
the chance to do that.
yeah, not everyone have to had the chance to come to England to, to go to university. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that, yeah, just don't be afraid and enjoy it while you're here.
And so maybe that's like a couple of the things that you need to know about moving to a new country, a new city. And
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, that's enough tea. And to make this a bit more juicy, let's play a little game with the wheel of confessions. Let's start spinning. Okay, so the question is, what's the question, Ron? Can you read that for
So the
me?
question is, tell me about your first crush.
Okay, who go first? Me or you?
Okay, maybe I'll start.
Okay.
So my confession is that my first crush, I actually forgot his name because my first crush was in kindergarten. And
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe a little
Oh, I
backstory.
think I know about this one.
Yeah,
Because you're in the US, right?
yeah.
Well,
So
yeah, yeah.
when I was in kindergarten and elementary school, I studied in the US in America, in New York, because both of my parents were studying there. And
Mhm.
yeah, when I was in kindergarten, there was this boy who was like, I guess, super cute. I don't really remember his face now, but I remember that I thought he was like super, super cute. But at
Yeah.
the time, I was just like really like tomboyish, I guess you could say. Even though my parents like dressed me super, super girly, there was this like thing where I'm just like I don't know why. Like I usually play with like the boys. As I only had one one friend that was a girl, and the
Yeah.
others were guys. And if I weren't friends with those guys, I usually just like ask them. I mean, not ask them, but like fight them. You know. I mean, of course, not
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
try to punch them or anything, but just like I don't even know like why I was so like brave. Yeah, but I usually like get into fights with them. I mean, you know,
Well, that's
kindergarten
cute
fights.
though.
Yeah. And
That's
this
what
one time I
it's
really liked this boy, but I guess he like kind of saw me as one of the boys. I mean, this kind of like makes me sound like a pick me girl, but this was in kindergarten, so whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, and even though I usually like dress kind of like I'm not kind of, but really, really girly because my mom usually dressed me like really, really girly.
Hmm.
If I do anything, he thinks that I'm just like, you know, just like playing with him, like it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if it even like meant anything to me, but I guess I was trying to like show that I liked him, you know.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
one time we were playing together, and I saw that usually the girls who like the other boys kind of like push them around and like kind of, you know, like give little
Oh
slaps
yeah. Oh my
stuff,
God.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's so true.
Yeah, and I tried to do that too, but I guess like I had like too much power,
And
like too much like strength, I guess, and I pushed him really hard until he fell and he cried and he told the teacher, and I was like, okay, like I'm really sorry, I didn't mean that, like
no
I'm
way. You
trying to
didn't
say that
mean
I
to
like
do that
him.
because you have a crush on him.
Yeah, like I mean, looking back, it's like not something that I should have done, but I guess that's like story of my first crush, and yeah, I never told him that I liked him. So yeah. What about you? Who's your first crush and what's the story behind it?
My first crush. I think it's back in like elementary school, obviously.
Hmm.
So there's this guy that I really, really like because I think what makes him like a stand for the other because he's not from Indo, so he's the
Stand
only
out. He stands out. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And then the thing is like it's not only me who had a crush on him, but it's
yeah.
the whole
The
the
whole
whole
school.
yeah, the whole school, the whole student, even I don't know because he's just so cute and his house British,
Okay.
yeah, he's just so cute and everyone just like, oh my God, madly in love with him. But
Mhm.
yeah, the thing is now I kind of like still friends with him, which is crazy because I used to have a
Yeah.
crush on him, but now we're friends, yeah, you can say.
Oh, okay. That is so cute though that you're still friends until now with one of your elementary friends because usually like we don't keep in touch, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we do, and we're still friends. We still talk sometimes, but that's it, nothing more. Because it's just like a silly crush when I was like, I don't know, 10, 12.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, wait, look at the time. I think we're gonna be late for our next class.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go, thanks for listening to us ramble on. Maybe you could tell us a little bit of your confessions by tweeting with the hashtag C2CS and or hashtag ALRA Studios. And don't forget to tag us on Twitter at ALRA Studios.
Yes, please do. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram at ALRA Studios and Twitter at ALRA Studios.
Yeah, and you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. I'm Rania.
I'm Titi. Hope to
And
see you.
in our next confession sesh. Au revoir.
Merci beaucoup. Bye bye.